this work, which is that cuts both ways. I'm happy that I get engagement from people when they hear that, or even when they hear the Carolina Panthers sound effect, which I think is similar because they are also the Panthers. I get people thinking of me and tagging me in social media posts, and that feels nice. I appreciate the engagement, and I also think that, you've been doing something 30 years, and that is something you're known for that is pretty embarrassing when you really get right down to it. But, who wants to hear about what's going on inside of my head right now? No, we got our own problems. We all collectively have a common problem, and it's deciding just how much panic we should be feeling about the 2025 Buffalo Bills. I think that's where my head is at. Following Thursday's loss, we had Friday to kind of pour it over. Then the weekend came, and we watched a bunch of Week 12 games, and now we're back. And it's a weird week. We got a holiday in the middle of it, so we're off at the back end of it. A lot of you probably are also off at the back end of it. But the Bills have a game looming on Sunday in Pittsburgh, and it's a game that could really dramatically affect the wild card seedings. Yeah, you want panic? I know that's not really panic, and I'm not at all. I shouldn't have used the word panic so early in the day, because I'm not sure that panic is where I don't think I'm at panic, but I'm definitely shook. I think there's a difference between shook and panic, and I'm shook about things here with the way the standings look. The Bills are sitting in 7th spot in the AFC right now, so still in the playoffs, but they are clinging to that last wild card spot. The team they play this coming Sunday in Pittsburgh is right behind them. The team they lost to this past Thursday is also right behind them, as are the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore is leading the AFC North now, by the way. That happened from 1-5 to 6-5, and they have passed the Steelers on, I think, division record at this point, and they still have 2 games to play. Anyway, you know what the standings look like, I think. You know what the Bills have looked like. I'm much more confident of that. And what I'm wondering is now through 12 weeks, just where your head is at, where our collective heads are at here. Is there, and here's why I don't think panic is something I would use to describe my state of mind. We'll see about you at 803-0550. Mike is out sick today, so you just got me here. We've got Ross Tucker booked at 4 o'clock for his weekly visit. Again, with the holiday schedule, we had to shuffle things up a bit. We talked to our usual Monday 4 o'clock guest, Eric Wood, on Friday because the Bills played on Thursday. So anyway, Ross Tucker today at 4. We'll touch base with Sal Capaccio at 5 p.m. today, almost exclusively football wall-to-wall from me today. But as is usually the case when one of us is out, it's a two-man show. We are certainly content and satisfied often enough to talk amongst ourselves, but I don't have that luxury today. So if you want to get in, there should be plenty of time for you at 803-0550. Really, the reason I think panic is not in order, as bad as Thursday looked and felt, and as bad as the standings may look and feel to you, because I'm done chasing the division. I'm done chasing the one. I mean, I know mathematically it could still happen, but I keep waiting for the Patriots to stub their toe, and they just keep finding ways to beat these teams that, aren't their equal, clearly. But the games are tighter than maybe you'd like. I don't know what Boston radio sounds like right now, but I'll bet they're probably spooning right now with the Patriots, because it's back, it's new, it's exciting, right? So let me make you some breakfast. No, don't get out of bed like that. That's probably Patriots fans right now, right? Whereas we're sort of like, you make your own eggs. Is kind of how we're feeling, I think, because the mighty have fallen here. The Patriots are 10-2. The Bills are at 9% to get there. I know. Right? Isn't it just 2 years ago they came from 3 back with 5 to go to pass Miami? Well, that was Miami. I do not think New England is that pushover caliber that Miami turned out to be. We've seen, really, that's the last time Miami was even ever taken seriously. It's been really 2 years of just sort of spiraling, and we'll see where they go from here ultimately, but none of our concern right now, because at 4-7, they're not in the picture. New England is. And I think New England, the kind of team they have demonstrated to be in just 12 games under Mike Vrabel and under the steady direction of second-year quarterback Drake May, I just feel like that is a team that is not going to collapse. All right. Well, could they still lose a game that they shouldn't lose? Yeah. I mean, every good team, even great teams, will do that. The Bills have done it almost every year that they've been lording over the AFC East. So I think the Patriots could do that, but it's 7-4 versus 10-2. I've got the one game left. It's not even at the very end, so I don't have all this time to make up the ground. Of course, I know I could still pass them after they play in Week 15, but I'm sort of resigned to living in wildcardville, and my mindset is now going to be on two things: protecting that turf, the wild card turf, from the likes of Pittsburgh and Houston and Kansas City. Jacksonville and the Chargers, that's where I'm living now, with the same record as the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 7-4. And I want to just guard that turf. I'm not of the mind to get too far into arranging how I want the seating to go. There's just so much to still happen here with, well, in the case of the Bills, 6 games to go. New England only has 5 because they still have yet to have their bye. They have a bye coming up after this week's game, in which they take on, hang on, I had it here a second ago. Who do they play this week? Why don't I have that? I thought I had that in front of me. Who do the Patriots play this week? Do we know? Of course, we can find out. I can find it. Just got to click a different spot. They play the Giants. On Monday night. Okay. I just found a bug in my, what I thought was my grid of AFC playoff contenders. It doesn't have the division leaders on it, so I'm going to need to fix that and address that. I thought I had a schedule master sheet, but turns out I don't. Anyway, so look, it's to me, it's just a long way to go. You don't even really have anymore the Super Bowl odds to cling to. If, like, you've been, I think maybe after the Bills lost to Miami, they were still right up at, if not the best odds, within the top 2 or 3. They were right there. There are now 7 teams with better Super Bowl odds than the Bills. The Broncos have the same odds as the Bills at plus 1,300. Maybe you will find it curious or notable that New England is not one of the teams that is ahead of the Bills in this. But in the AFC, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Baltimore, all ahead of the Bills. Denver tied, and then the Bills, and then, as I said, New England. So the reason I think not to panic, and I'll get to calls real quick after I just finish spitting this out, is that I just don't see a team that has to be above and beyond what the Bills are capable of. It's a flawed conference. It looks to be a flawed conference this year. You can poke holes in the teams at the top. Even New England, I think, is not infallible. But they've got the lead right now, and I'm inclined to let them in Denver. It didn't really resonate with me that Indianapolis lost in Kansas City yesterday. In fact, I was in the forum that I'm most comfortable watching that game, which was rooting against Kansas City. So I couldn't even get that right, because that's how much Thursday's loss to Houston damaged my number 1 seed aspirations. There's no longer a challenge in who to root for when somebody's playing Kansas City. It's just simply block the door from Kansas City getting in. And unfortunately, the Colts were unable to do that, so they dropped to 8-3. Denver's there at 9-2, 10-2 on top. There's New England. I mean, we can talk about individual teams here, like who scares you the most, but the Bills have already beaten Baltimore. They've already beaten Kansas City. those two teams would still be my answer to who is the scariest AFC contending team out there, I think. And yes, that is largely track record, but Baltimore, well, they've won 5 in a row since their 1-5 start. So they are where they are. And I think like having to deal with them in a 4-5 matchup, say they win the North, which I would predict they do, and you end up as the 5, like there's a round 1 wild card matchup that doesn't sound super fun, right? But even Baltimore, even Kansas City, while you've had your trouble with both of those teams, and certainly your trouble more so just you can't get past Kansas City when the playoffs get here, there is not a team out there. I don't think New England, Denver, or Indianapolis, the teams that have been sort of hovering at the top here, and Indy is still there third in the conference despite their loss yesterday. This is not a team to me that oh boy, I'm not going to be able to deal with that, right? Are some matchups less advantageous than others? Of course. That's how sports works. But there is not a team out there to me that is just above and beyond. So the Bills, I think, are probably objectively, all right? I know what they look like. I know they couldn't block Houston, and I know their offensive plan. They couldn't seem to find a decent pivot to handling the pass rush, helping out the edge guys, whatever they would have needed to do. They just didn't have an answer on Thursday. So I know it looked bad, but to me the Bills are as capable as Kansas City or Baltimore, and therefore as capable as any one of these teams of winning it all. Is it going to be easier to go on the road and play 3 games if that's what it comes to? Of course not. But considering the opposition, I just don't see a cause for panic, but it does hurt to have a year where New England, Denver, and Indy are the teams at the top and have the Bills not be able to take advantage of that and put together a season where they could obtain the 1 seed and get the week off and be at home and all of that has avoided them. It's eluded them this entire time that they have been a contending level team. They've never had it. They've had a couple of races for it, but they just have never gotten there. And I think this year it's in the wind. It's gone. So bad news. You're going to play 3 games. You're probably starting on the road. Almost definitely starting on the road. Maybe you'll get a home game if the top of this thing is as unreliable as I think it is. That's maybe all the reason more to try to strive for the top wild card so that if there are upsets up top, if Kansas City ends up below you and they take out Denver or New England or whatever, you could end up playing a game at home before it's all said and done. But the 1 seed to me in the division, the reign over the division is over. 10-2 versus 7-4 right now. I mean, I just don't see it. But again, all that said, I still think the conference is up for grabs. And that should be, I think, enough to sort of keep you from feeling like it's all over, right? We have been here before. We have been at it feels all over before. 6-6 2 years ago, coming off that Philly loss, I think was the record. And that's the year they ended up catching and passing Miami on the last day of the season. I'm not saying it's going to be a cruise here. It's going to be tense. It's going to be tense. Like now I'm battling Jacksonville and the Chargers and the Steelers and the Texans and the Chiefs. Whereas if I like New England's just got to like keep me at bay, and they've got the AFC East. And that's really where the Bills were last year, and that comfort is gone. But I don't think it means it's, never going to stop raining or anything. 803-0550 is the number to call. Really, anything is on the table here as far as the Bills go. Your concerns, what you think of their chances, etc. Really, is there a team out there that really worries you other than the Bills? I mean, I think the Bills are as capable as anybody in the conference of beating anyone and losing to anyone. Like that's what is what wide open is. And that's what I think the AFC is right now, despite New England having the lead that they have and Denver already having 9 wins.